When people think of Marilyn Monroe, they think of beauty, fame, glamour, and obsession. But behind all of that was something much more darker than most people really saw. And today, I'm going to take you behind the fame and into a much darker reality hidden underneath everything. So let's get straight into the tragic life of Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn was born on June 1st, 1926 at Charity Ward of Los Angeles General Hospital. Her real name was Norma Jean Mortensen, but then later on, after my girl was baptized, she was named Norma Jean Baker. And for us to really understand where all her misery started, I'm going to have to give you a little more background story on her mother, Gladys Pearl Baker. Gladys was born on May 27, 1902, and she was working as a film cutter in multiple studios across Hollywood. And here's where the depressing part comes in. She suffered from an illness called schizophrenia. Gladys had a very unstable life, and because of her mental illness, it was extremely hard for her to take care of herself and let alone a child. Now that you have a little bit of background on her mother, let's go back to Marilyn. Marilyn's father was always absent. We don't know nothing about him at all. There was some rumors about her father being one of her mom's co-worker, Charles Stanley. But then again, those rumors was never confirmed, so we don't really know too much about her dad. When Marilyn was just a baby, her mother had a major breakdown and had to be hospitalized for mental health treatment for a very long period of time. And because of that, Marilyn had to stay with foster parents. Her first foster parents were the Bollanders. I'm gonna put it somewhere on the screen. It was Albert and Ida Bollanders. Listen, one thing I want to make clear is I'm going to be butchering everybody's name on here. Okay? I'm going to be butchering everybody's name. So buckle up. I'm going to write them on the screen, so even if I said it wrong, you're gonna see it on the screen. Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna try my best, but just so you know. Now let me give you a little idea of how her life was with the Bollanders. They lived in a very small town right outside of Los Angeles. They were a very strict, religious, disciplined Christian household. The Bollanders really emphasized on sin, punishment, and morality. Living with them made Marilyn feel so shameful. Not only that, she felt like she had to be perfect to be accepted. Marilyn felt lonely, different, and she really felt like she was much more of a responsibility than like a permanent child. But listen, the Bollanders really physically took good care of Marilyn. She had a bed, she had regular meals, she was taken care of. Physically, she was well taken care of, but not emotionally. The Bollanders was not very affectionate. They were more strict. Perfect, be perfect. I'm going to be for you to be perfect, but never I love you, like give me a hug. It was never that way. It was very much, you need to be perfect. 10 out of 10, nothing else, my way or the highway. The Bollanders actually really wanted to adopt her, but Marilyn's mother was like, Gladys refused to give her parental rights to the Bollanders. She was like, I want my kid, that's my kid. You know, I know I'm a little, but that's my kid. I'm gonna keep my kid. So it was kind of a back and forth between the Bollanders and Marilyn's mom, Bollanders and Marilyn's mom, until in 1933, when Marilyn was around 7 years old, her mother decided to take her back. Marilyn was really happy. She left the Bollanders and she went to live with her mother for a little while. Not even a couple months later, y'all, when I tell you, not even a couple months later, Marilyn's mom had the biggest breakdown of all time. So she had to go back into the mental hospital to be taken care of. So because of that, Marilyn had to go into temporary foster homes. She was going back and forth into this foster home, to that foster home, to this foster home. She was moving around a lot. All of that moving around only taught Marilyn one thing, that nothing that she cares about really lasted at all. Not only that too, Marilyn felt lost emotionally lost. And around that time, All Marilyn really wanted was a stable home. And because nobody could really permanently care for her, they had to place her into the Los Angeles Orphans Home Society. And after being placed in there, she was moved around a couple more times. And then finally, thank God, finally, she found a home that she was gonna stay in for about a couple years. And it was one of the longest and stable homes that she's ever found in a very long time. She was living with Grace Goddard. Sorry. Grace was a family friend connected to her mother. And around that time, Marilyn was around 13 to 14-year-old-ish. I think 13 to 14-year-old. And I think she stayed there for that long. Oh, something's in my eye. My hair's in my eye. Okay, sorry. Although this was one of the closest things to a real home after the orphanage, Marilyn still felt like she didn't really belong there. The reason why she really felt that way is because she always felt like it was going to end one day. All of that moving around that she experienced earlier really made her feel like nothing lasted. And Marilyn was right, because later on, Grace had to relocate to another state, another city. I think another state, because they found a job, but they couldn't take Marilyn with them. So they had to leave her behind. Marilyn was like, Marilyn was like, I'm not going back to the system. So she started looking for stability herself. In 1941, Marilyn met her soon-to-be husband, James Dorothy. Imagine this. You wake up, you walk outside, sun is shining in your face, you open your door, you breathe the fresh air. While you're staring at the sun that's bright and shiny in your face, the warmth in your face, but then in the corner of your eye, something is shining brighter than the sun. Then you turn around and there she was, Marilyn Monroe. Okay, let me stop. I don't know why I made this kind of scenarios in my head, romantic scenarios in my head. So they met in the neighborhood because they lived in the same neighborhood. So they were friends. They were always hanging out, talking as friends, but they never really started talking like that until when Marilyn had to go to the foster home because Grace had to move. They started talking, and then later on they got married so they could live together, and Marilyn finally find a bit of stability. Now you gotta let me know if I should write a movie or not. During the World War II, Marilyn's husband, James, had to go away for service, and while he was away, Marilyn started working in a factory called Radio Plane Company as an inspector. When a photographer named David Conover came to the factory to take pictures of women working for a military magazine, David noticed her right away because Marilyn was very natural in front of the cameras. Marilyn was extremely chill in front of the cameras, and her little pauses, she was like, he was like, oh, okay, all right, follow me. Around 1944, Marilyn started doing more like small little pinups. And around that time, she was still Norma Jean. She wasn't Marilyn Monroe yet. In 1945, Marilyn began her career as a successful pinup model. She even joined the Blue Book modeling agency. And by the early 1946, something is still in my eye. I don't know what the hell. Okay, and by early 1946, Marilyn appeared in 33 cover magazines. Marilyn became the top model of her agency. They dyed her hair blonde, but it wasn't platinum blonde at that time. They dyed her hair blonde and then they straightened her curls because Marilyn had beautiful curls. And she wasn't a blonde, she was a brunette. Marilyn was frequently featured in hair care products, advertising, and pinup magazine covers. Her success in modeling literally attracted Howard Hughes. Huge Hughes? That's huge, right? There's no way that's not huge. That's Hug. Howard was a very, very rich man, and he was a powerful businessman. He was an inventor and he was a movie producer. She signed a contract with the 20th Century Fox, and this is when they changed her name to Marilyn Monroe. And the reason why they changed her name is because the studio did not think that Norma Jean was very Hollywood enough, so they had to switch it to something that was more memorable and more marketable. Marketable. Damn, I can't speak English for it changed her makeup style, her teeth appearance, her voice, her walk, her facial expression. The studio system back then was extremely controlling. They taught her how to smile, how to sit, how to flirt on camera, how to respond to reporters, and how to act feminine. Between 1946 to 1961, Marilyn appeared in 29 films. And you might wonder, why would she choose to be an actress while being a successful model? Well, Marilyn did not like the world around her. For her, it was kind of grim. When she heard that you could create your own world in acting, she decided that this is what she wanted to do. Back when Marilyn was younger, some of her foster parents used to send her to the movies to get her out of the house. And Marilyn would sit all day and even late at night in front of a big screen, and she loved it. Marilyn spent her first 6 months as Fox learning acting, singing, dancing, and kind of observing the movie industry and how people were acting, how the movie was made. She was observing because she really wanted to be an actress. Marilyn's first movie role was a background role as a waitress in a movie called Dangerous Gear. She soon landed her second role in 1948 in a movie called Scooda Who, Scooda Hey. And her character name in that movie was Betty. She only had like one line. Okay, listen, Marilyn was hooked. She was like, oh, Picasso. When I tell you my girl was so hooked, she was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. She was excited, she was ambitious, she wanted to do it. But then because of the way she was kind of shy. She was kind of insecure a little bit because she didn't really know who she was at that time. So she was kind of insecure. Her teacher that was teaching her how to act at that moment literally said that, girl, I don't think you can act. I think you need to let that go. Marilyn was like, let me just get somebody else. Get somebody else to do it. And I'm gonna tell you this right now. Take that from her. This is one lesson that I want you to take from her is when somebody tell you that you can't do something, that is your fuel. You have to do it now. You don't have a choice but to do it now. And because of what the teacher said, 20th Century Fox did not renew her contract because it was like, I can't. I'm sorry. You are very ambitious. You want this, but you just can't. She was even working as a pacer in a movie to help people stay in line and choreographies in movies and stuff like that. I tell you, my girl was determined. She wanted to be famous. She wanted to be a movie star. She went back to studying because she wanted to learn how to be an actor. She was gonna drill this inside of her head. Like, she was going to make it work, even though everybody said it wasn't going to work. And my girl even landed like a small role in a theater play, but then that small role kind of ended after a couple performances. And this was when Marilyn was like, this is not working out. I gotta figure it out. I gotta go one step further. So my girl started networking. She became friends with Sydney. Sydney was a gossip columnist. She started being friends with Office movie producers. She was like, let me scoot over here. Let me scoot over here. And my girl also became friend, and rumor has it that she was sleeping with him. Don't tell nobody though, it's a rumor. And the person is Fox executive Joseph M. In 1948, Joseph convinced Columbia Pictures to sign her because they were supposedly allegedly sleeping together. At Columbia, she began working with the studio head drama coach. They worked together till 1950. Around that time, she landed a low-budget role as a chorus girl counter by a wealthy man. She also tested for a screen lead role in Born Yesterday, but she did not get it because her contract with Fox was not renewed in September 1948. In the following month, The Lady of Course was released, and unfortunately, it wasn't successful. After her contract at Columbia ended, she returned to modeling. First thing she shot after going back to modeling was a beer commercial. And after the beer commercial, Marilyn shot a nude calendar, more of like an artistic nude calendar, photographed by Tom Kelly. And for this nude photographs, she didn't use Marilyn Monroe, she used Mona Monroe. And right after that photo shoot, Marilyn became the mistress of Johnny Hyde, the vice president of the talent agency. Through him, she landed many several film roles. And despite her small appearance in those films, Bette Davis later praised her performance. David knew that because she was so ambitious and determined and she knew exactly what she wanted, she was going to make it really big. In December 1950, Johnny negotiated a 7-year contract with Fox? 20th Century Fox. It is so hard for me to say that long name. And after negotiating that contract with them, the only deal was they could get out anytime they want, every single year if they want to. Just an example, let's say we have a 7-year contract. I can literally say I don't want to do this next year if I want to. That's like they can get out whenever they feel. They have like a way out. And shortly after Marilyn got that deal, because of Johnny passed away from a heart attack. And Marilyn was devastated. She was devastated. She was hurt. In 1951, Marilyn had 3 successful comedy roles. As Young as You Make Me Feel, Let's Make It Legal, then the last one is In Love, Nest. And around that time, Marilyn was using every single thing that she had. Marilyn said it was either gonna be my way or the highway, because I'm gonna make it anyway. Oh, that was cool. Y'all heard that. You heard that, huh? And even if she only had a couple minutes on screen, she gained a lot of attention. She even gained a mention in Photoplay, and Dano Spoto, who later wrote a book about her, which I read, stated that she moved effectively from movie model to serious actress. Marilyn's audience started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. She even received several thousand fans letters a week. In 1951, Marilyn was nominated Miss Cheesecake of 1951 by the Army newspaper. Let's take a deeper look into her private life a little bit. Marilyn had a short relationship with director Elia Kazan. Kazan? You see what I'm trying to say. And Marilyn briefly dated several other men, including director Nicholas Ray and 2 actors, Brenner and Peter Lawford. She was publicly dating one of the most famous sport personality of that era. In March 1952, Marilyn revealed publicly that she posed for a nude calendar. And you might wonder, Ashley, why did she do that? Was she trying to grab attention? That's not why. That's not why she got caught. Yeah, she got caught. Basically, the studio find out about those photo shoots, and they went to Marilyn. It was like, what's up with that? She was like, okay, I'm gonna come clean. You know, you got me. You got me. And because of that confession, Marilyn received a bunch of backlash. And Marilyn was like, okay, what am I gonna do? I can't lose all of this that I've worked for. She played the, I was broke and I was in distress and I needed money, and everybody felt sympathy for her. But the thing about it is, like, I feel like it wasn't just a card that she pulled. It was just, she was actually not getting paid enough. She wasn't. And you're gonna see that later on when her big, huge movie came out, she still wasn't getting paid enough. Let me tell you something. The empathy that she got from the people grew her audience even more. And right after that controversy ended, my girl landed 3 other roles in 3 other comedy movies. The first one was Clash by Night, the second one was Don't Be Bothers to Knock, and the third one, We Are Not Married. In the movie We Are Not Married, she had a role as a pageant contestant, and that role was only created because they wanted to represent her in 2 bathing suits. And this is exactly when she started being a sex symbol. And because of all the success that was coming her way, she wanted to know way more about acting, so she went back to acting school. In 1952, Marilyn landed 2 more roles. The first one was Monkey's Business. In this role, she played a secretary who is dumb, childish, and blonde, innocently unaware of the chaos her sexiness causes around her. When Marilyn figured out that being a sex symbol was kind of a faster way out for her, she decided to literally play along with it. Marilyn started wearing revealing clothes, and rumor has it, my girl, she wasn't wearing underwear. Don't tell nobody. That's a rumor. Under all this beauty, this glamour, and the success, there was a really sad, anxious, alcoholic, low self-esteem, scared little girl. Marilyn was difficult to work with. She was always late. She had insomnia. She couldn't sleep at all. So she was taking medicine for that. And because of the medicine, she was always kind of out of focus. And because of the medicine too, it made it really, really hard to work with her. Because of that, she became heavily dependent on her acting coach. She wasn't only always late, she would forget the lines, and sometimes she wouldn't show up at all. She was irritating movie directors because of her lack of control on set. Marilyn was extremely bullied by her directors. Some of Marilyn's behavior, especially later in her career, was partly fueled by sexism and patronizing behaviors of her male directors. In 1953, she played in 3 movies as a major sex symbol. The first movie is called Film Noir. She played a femme fatale scheming to murder her husband. Around that time, her and her makeup artist started creating her signature makeup look. Dark arch brows, pale skin, glistening red lips, and a beauty mark. The movie Niagara was one of her most overly sexual film of her whole career. In January 1953, when that movie was released, Women's Club criticized it and called it immoral, yet it was really successful. One of her biggest film of all time was Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. In that movie, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, she played Jane Russell and she was a gold digger. As a part of the movie's publicity campaign, Marilyn and her co-star Russell pressed their hands and footprints in wet concrete outside the Grauman Chinese Theater in June. Gentlemen Prefer Blonde became one of the biggest box office success of the year. After that movie, she played in another movie called Diamond or a Girl's Best Friend. It was another success for her. And although Marilyn became the biggest star of all time, she was still underpaid. In 1954, Marilyn got married to Joe, but her relationship didn't really last because she played a subway grade scene in the movie 7-Year Itch. It blew up and she gained way more fame than before. And Joe didn't know how to handle it, so he became very controlling. So they ended up splitting after just 9 months. And after that marriage ended, Marilyn was tired of being seen as a sex symbol. She was tired of being seen as the dumb blonde that was overly sexualized, so she decided to change everything. She wanted to be taken more seriously, so she went back to acting school. And at that moment, that's when she went back and started confronting 20th Century Fox because they wasn't paying her enough. She told them, like, you gotta stop paying me more. I'm bringing y'all more fame and more views and more eyes, but y'all not paying me. So she went back and forth with them. In 1955, she even created her own movie production called Marilyn Monroe Production. In 1954, Marilyn traveled to South Korea and performed to US troops as a part of a USO tour. Over 4 days, she sang for 60,000 American soldiers. In 1956, Marilyn married Arthur Miller. People were really obsessed with them because Miller was pretty much like a very serious writer. But then Marilyn was Hollywood's bigger star. You see what I'm saying? You see they were very different, but it was so cute. Around that time, she played a role in the movie Bus Stop. People started to see her differently. She finally started getting more respect. Filming that movie wasn't easy for her at all because she was still struggling with a lot of anxiety. She was forgetting lines, and then not only that, she was heavily relying on medications so she could get through one film. And this is when every single thing went really upside down for her, is when she got pregnant and then she miscarried. After my girl miscarried, she was devastated. Like, she was going through the darkest time of her life, but the problem is she was suffering in silence. Nobody knew that she was suffering. From the outside, everybody see that glamour. Everybody was obsessed with her. Everybody see that big, huge star. But deep down, my girl was suffering. She was going through a lot. Her life was miserable deep down. And even after all of that, she played in the movie Some Like It. And it became one of her biggest comedy movie ever. Let me tell you this right now. Filming that movie was so hard on her. Plus, Marilyn was like a perfectionist. She would redo one line 40 to 50 times because she would feel like it didn't really feel right to her. And then once she feel like it feels right, then she would keep the line. But until then, she would still redo the line. Marilyn would freeze on set. She would freeze. Not only would she freeze, she would be forgetting her line way more than she used to before, and she used to take way more medicine than she used to before. By the end of 1960, I keep saying this, but it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse for her. By the end of 1960, everything fell apart. Her marriage to Arthur Miller broke down in the middle of her filming a movie called Miss Feet. And mind you, she was already going through all of the depression, anxiety. She was going through self-esteem because she didn't really believe in herself as much. She was going through insomnia. She was going through a miscarriage. She was going through every single thing that she could possibly think of. And then the last straw, he left. I don't know if he left or I don't know how they broke up, but they broke up. while she was on that movie set, Marilyn kept on going to the hospital back and forth because she kept on getting sick, really sick. Or sometimes she wouldn't show up, or sometimes she would like forget the lines. Everybody was just tired of her, and 20th Century Fox fired her. In late 1962, Marilyn became linked to the president, John F. Kennedy. And not only the president, but the president's brother, Robert F. Kennedy. There was a lot of rumors saying that Marilyn and JFK had some type of relationship together, but it was never confirmed. It was just like rumors at that time. Marilyn was invited to perform at JFK's early birthday celebration. She walked on stage in a tight, sparkly dress, and she sang "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" in a soft, breathy, and highly suggestive way. The way she sang the song sounded so intimate, it really started way more rumors about them being intimate. And after that performance, they met in private, which literally put gas into the fire, made everybody think that they definitely did something, but it was never confirmed. It was just a rumor. And then Marilyn decided to move to 1200 305 5th Elena Drive in LA for a couple months. When she moved there, nobody knew that this was going to be her final months. On August 5th, 1962 at 3 a.m., Marilyn's housekeeper, Ernest Murray, woke up. She felt like something wasn't right. She got up and something just felt off. She passed by Marilyn's room. She saw a light coming under her door. But when she called out her name, nobody answered. Ernest was panicking, so she called Marilyn Monroe's psychiatrist. When he quickly got to the house, they both started calling Marilyn's name. When they called Marilyn's name, she wasn't answering. So they went down to the windows. They broke down, they walked inside, and then there she was. She was laying on her bed, naked, covered with simple sheet. And then when they look at her hand, she was gripping a telephone receiver. They quickly call her physician. When the physician hurried and come to the house at 3:50 a.m., he pronounced her dead. And the time that he pronounced her dead was 4:25 a.m. They called the LA Police Department. When they got to the house and they started investigating, they saw a bunch of empty bottle of medicine next to her bed. When Marilyn's autopsy came back, they found 8 milligram per 100 millimeters of solution of chlorohydrate and 4.5 milligram of millimeter of pentobarbital in her blood. And they find 13 milligram per 100 of millimeter of pentobarbital in her liver. And they discovered that Marilyn already died around 8:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Nobody knew. She was just laying there and she was dead the whole time. The possibility of her accidentally overdosing herself was thrown out the window. The reason why is because she had a lethal amount of drugs in her system. While they were investigating, they find out that Marilyn was overdosing multiple times throughout her filming career. Remember when she was heavily relying on medicine? Sometimes she would overdose and go to the hospital and get help. But this time, it was her last time. Marilyn's funeral was held privately. Her ex-husband, DiMaggio, was the only ex that attended. He made sure that Hollywood stayed out of the funeral. Nobody could get into that funeral because of him. There was a lot of rumors that was speculating, saying that she was murdered because she was having an affair with JKF, but no evidence was found. And one more rumor that was going around was that 2 of her most hated directors was buried. One was buried on top of her and one was buried on the side of her. Another rumor that was going around without evidence was the fact that she was missing organs. That never was proven. It was just rumors. So tell me, what do you think? Do you think she was murdered? Or do you think it was suicide? I want to hear what you think down below. And if I'm missing anything about my girl Marilyn Monroe, please go ahead and put it down below for me so I can know it, because if I'm missing something, that means I just don't know it. Guys, when I tell you, this research took me about a week to finish. If you have any other artists in mind, movie star in mind, anybody that you want me to do a deep dive into, let me know, comment it down below. I'm going to link my storefront down below. Just know if you go to my storefront, you click and you buy anything on my storefront, I'll be getting paid because it's an affiliate link. I have a vlogging channel where I do vlog lifestyle videos. I'm going to link that down below for y'all too. And not only that, I'm gonna be linking all of my other socials down below for y'all, so you can go ahead and check it out. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on my next video. Bye bye. Mwah.